Hello and welcome to CB Talk, the Combined Transport Blackwell Monthly Podcast. Today is November 22nd, 2024, and I'm your host, Nick Card, Vice President of Operations. Today we've got an interview with Time Covey, our over-the-road maintenance supervisor. We're going to talk about maintenance issues, about driver procedures, and Tim's going to talk a little bit about his Harley collection. But first, the news. Our driver and employee of the month this month, Jordan Wells in Glass and Flatbed, Anthony McKenna Gutierrez in Blackwell, Jason Newport in Heavy Haul, and Jared Colley is the office employee of the month. Thank you guys for all of your hard work and congratulations. Our safety topic of the month this month is snow chains. Winter's out there. Siskiyous have been facing closures already just south of us. We're seeing snow on most of the peaks. Make sure you guys stay safe out there and use your snow chains. If you are concerned about snow chains or don't know the correct procedure, please let us know and we would be happy to train you guys. If you need some extra hand, I know it's been a while since we've needed those chains, but you guys should all be equipped with chains. Make sure you're doing your pre-trips and you're inspecting your chains and you're ready to use them if and when they're needed. Also in the news, DOT has put some new rules into effect starting December 5th for oral fluid testing. They have set qualifications for oral fluid specimen collectors. They've set qualifications for documentation, and they have set restrictions on who can be present. So those rules will be rolling out here again effective December 5th. We'll see what changes those may mean for us here at Combined. We don't plan to add oral fluids testing anytime soon, though that may change in the future. There have been updates to the mandatory CDL clearinghouse. So as of November 18th, states now must verify FMCSA drug and alcohol clearinghouse records before issuing or renewing CDLs. This means that any driver with drug or alcohol violations that are flagged will be restricted from operating commercial vehicles until they reach compliance. Also, we're seeing some other states like Wisconsin, New York, and Nebraska that are enforcing new rules that they're downgrading CDLs for non-compliant drivers. So this means if you're having a bunch of safety violations, again, or those drug and alcohol issues, you may see your CDL downgraded. So make sure you stay safe and compliant out there on the road. And now our interview with Tim. Here in the studio with us today is Time Covey, our over-the-road supervisor. He's been with us since 2016. He's a proud sports dad who's been coaching his kids for 20 years. And I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but he's also a Raiders fan. Tim, it is good to have you here with us.
How you doing?
Doing good. So, hey, let's start with this one. You've been with us since 2016. You started with us in driver services. You really haven't changed departments. But boy, have you seen a lot of change over that time. Tell us a little bit about sort of your experience of going through all of that and then kind of what your role looks like today.
Yeah, so I started in 2016 when we were over at Blackwell. Actually, we were in the weight room. Now it's the gym.
Oh, yeah, over by the Career Center?
Yes, sir. We started over there, and it was packed. Jason Card, Bob, everybody was in there, and it was a packed house. So I learned from some of the best that we've had. Driver services did basically everything. OTR and driver services were the same position. And as the years went on, we transitioned into OTR separated from driver services. So we moved over to the top of the shop, and that's where I got to know everybody and started moving forward in my position.
Because you've been doing maintenance for quite a few years, like primarily maintenance, right?
Yes. So I've been doing OTR, just OTR since I'd say probably 2019.
Okay.
And I worked under our previous over-the-road supervisor, and it was just him and I for a multiple amount of years. It was a lot, learning, getting into this position. So as we transitioned into OTR, some of the driver services stuff has went to driver services specific. and we concentrated on over the road stuff.
Okay.
And now it has become where it's just over the road maintenance.
Yeah, because the last few guests we've had, we've spent a lot of time talking about the transition and the fleet managers and what that looks like. And so part of why I'm really excited to have you here is to sort of shed light on that over-the-road piece. And I know over-the-road has been sort of a standalone thing for a little while, but it's always been kind of part of that driver services envelope. And now we're really elevating over-the-road maintenance to being that standalone department because it is really important for our drivers.
Over the road and driver services, I feel like has been the crutch for a long time, the one-stop shop for the company. Everybody could call and get everything done. And now OTR, we've separated, and OTR now is, like you said, standalone. So now we're focusing solely on maintenance, keeping everybody, keeping services up to date, DOTs up to date, all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Keeping trucks on the road, keeping
keeping trucks rolling.
Yeah. So as the over-the-road supervisor now, can you give us like an overview of what your day-to-day looks like? What's that job?
So my day-to-day, obviously, you guys can tell we're pretty busy. We take a lot of calls. My day-to-day consists of what's happened overnight, and my day-to-day starts with we do a out of service list, and we run down the out of service list and call on all the trucks. And from there, we give the drivers a call if we need to rebook the rooms or anything like that. We do that, and we just give updates to the departments on what's going on with their equipment. My role has changed now to where I've got a couple guys over here. We got Nick Von Arks, Kevin, and Evan, and they kind of take care of the day-to-day phone stuff, and I'm taking care of more of the maintenance and the warranty policy, that type of stuff, dealing with the behind the scenes on the trucks.
Yeah, the big breakdowns,
Yes, sir.
the big downtimes. I know. I'm sure you've seen since 2016. Man, the world of maintenance over the road has changed dramatically. The quality of the shops, the time to get in and out, availability of parts. Do you see that getting any better, or is this a new normal for us?
Well, we're always optimistic that it's going to get better. What we're doing to try to make it better is staying on top of them a little bit more and getting our reps involved right away, right from the get-go, and trying to put a name that they recognize on the email. That way that they're, feel like they need to be more prompt with their service. As everyone knows, you can tell this just going in. The people behind the fuel desk are different. The quality of workers has definitely went down since 2016 when we were at a prime in the industry to now.
Yeah. Well, given some of those struggles, what are some suggestions that you might have for drivers for how can they play a role in trying to help expedite these repairs through the system, take care of their equipment, whatever that might be?
Well, I heard this here. The difference between us making money on a load and not making money on a load is a good pre-trip. I think that was something that your grandfather used to say to everybody. Mm-hmm. And so what I push is a good pre-trip. A good pre-trip. That way, if we can find it, we can go over it, take care of it before they get rolling down the road, and it doesn't turn into a road call. And obviously the charges, double and triple as soon as they take off from where they're parked. If we can get it taken care of before they take off, that's the best situation.
Yeah, I know those road calls are not cheap.
No.
To be running. And then the other thing too, I've heard this, one driver shared this with me, was, doing a pre-trip means you get to fix your truck on your terms. When you're broke down on the side of the road, you fix your truck on their terms.
Yes.
And so being able to fix your truck on your terms as a driver, that gives you a lot of power to be able to plan your schedule, your time, and what you're doing with your hours.
Yeah. And that way you can catch it early and you don't waste your clock all day getting the truck repaired.
Yeah, sitting on the side of the road,
waiting
exactly. On some service truck. So something that I'm hearing from drivers too is making sure that they can stay on top of services. There's always this competing, you got to get the load there, but we also got to maintain the truck. How can drivers work with fleet managers to help make sure that those services are taken care of and they can stay on top of maintenance?
Right. So as we transition on using the fleet managers, they're supposed to give you a hand on scheduling your next load so that you have time to get your services done. Obviously, you still need to let them know that your services are due, but they should be aware that they're due as well. And basically, we want you, as soon as you guys know that you start getting your updates or your emails and your motive, when you get your motive alert about your services, we recommend you go on there as soon as possible so we can catch, if there is something wrong during your service, we can get those done as well.
Are you seeing challenges with guys getting their services done on time?
I am seeing challenges with guys getting their services done on time. And we're trying to figure out a way to come up with a solution that helps everyone out, because we do understand how important the load is to get there on time and all that type of stuff. I guess what I feel like is, everybody goes in and everywhere's crowded and nobody has time to do stuff as far as the repair shops. So I guess that's why it's so important that that you use your fleet manager, like, to not schedule you a load until you get the service completed. That way you're not, cramped or pressed for time with the load sitting on top of you.
Sure. So, how would you, so I get that alert. I'm a driver. I get that alert for my maintenance. What should I do?
As soon as you get that alert, I would reach out to your fleet manager and let them know you got a service coming up, and give them an opportunity to schedule your next load so that that you have time to do the service. And once you've reached out to them, you give us a call over at OTR, and we will help you find a spot where you need to go get the service done.
So, another common thing I hear on maintenance is the check engine light. We see these check engine lights come up on the trucks. If you have a car and your check engine light comes on, it's like, you got to get to the shop. It's a big deal. Well, what about in these trucks?
Run
away?
No. I always tell the guys, if you've driven a newer truck and a check engine light comes on, it's not abnormal. They do come on. They do come on. So the first thing you should do if you get a check engine light come on is give us a call, because as soon as your check engine light comes on, we've already gotten an email telling us what the problem is and the severity of it and everything. So if you call us, we can look into it right then and there and let you know exactly what's going on. There are multiple reasons why check engine lights come and go. And so, give us a chance. That way we can look into it and figure out what's going on and get you where you need to go to get the repairs done. I know sometimes people don't like the answer when we're like, okay, it's not a big deal. It's not going to shut you down. But those are the instructions that we get in the software that we have that will say continue. There's answers to those questions: continue route, finish route, seek service. And it gives us instruction on what to do with the check engine light.
And that's software that comes from the manufacturers, right?
Yes, directly from Daimler,
Volvo,
Kenworth, all those guys. And obviously, if you got a red stop engine light, don't try to start the truck again. Unless you're in a spot where you're, in the middle of a highway or something, you need to get to the side of the road, but the red stop engine is there for a reason. Blinking def lights, 2 check engine lights, blinking def lights, usually you're down and out. But a way to, keep up on these check engine lights as well are like doing your regens and stuff when the truck calls for a regen. You make sure you keep up on that type of stuff.
We get a lot of check engine lights because of the emission systems, right? Doesn't that come up a lot?
Yes. Idle time. Guys will idle all night long and stuff. So if you're idling and your optimized idle and that type of stuff isn't working correctly, make sure you call us. That way we can get that stuff figured out as well, because idle time is the main cause for most of our emissions problems.
Well, you'd mentioned the regens, and doesn't the truck sort of automatically do its regens?
Yes, it should, but there's times when they don't, and there's a way to assist it with the regen, and if not, we can always get a forced regen done on it as well. But forced regens sometimes get us out of binds, but there's an ultimate problem why it's not regenning itself. So that's not always that's a temporary fix.
Not a permanent solution.
Yes, sir.
I know. So speaking of after treatment and stuff, California has its own whole set of regulations and CARB and all that kind of stuff. Are there any concerns that our drivers should have specifically when in California related to that kind of stuff or other things?
California. We as a team here are encouraging drivers to do, how do I say this, as least as possible in California when it comes to services, fueling, tires. California tax is just so high. And we're encouraging you guys or the drivers to, obviously you get in a situation where you have to fuel down there or something. There's nothing we can do about it. But if you can wait to get over a border, whether it be Nevada, Oregon, Arizona, we would prefer you to wait. Tires as well. If you're coming north and you can make it to the yard, CNC Tire is a preferred person we'd like to use.
And they're here in our yard too,
yes,
right?
They are.
Pull into the yard and CNC will take care of it.
And working with them right now as we speak to keep an inventory of tires for us, so we don't get here and need some tires that we, sizes and stuff like that. They're specific to our fleet. So, give us a call and let us know. I know a lot of the drivers like to stop, on the 5 on the way up, but it's just becoming tough for us. And services as well, we are trying to not use California.
So is this true? I heard we did a repair in a shop in the LA basin, and the labor rate was over $400 an hour. Is that true?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We were in a bind, and
no wonder we don't want to use California.
Yes. So down there in LA, they basically get what they want as far as a labor rate. And if we're broke down on the side of a road and there's nothing we can do, we're just in a bad situation. Same with the dealers and stuff in the LA basin. They're so overwhelmed and booked. And even our reps are having a tough time getting us any extra special care down there. So we do try to encourage you guys to come a little bit farther north if we are in California. It's kind of funny because we encourage you to come north, but then we want to keep coming past Fresno and then, just get up here.
Well, I know I've heard Bakersfield can be a black hole too in California. We have a lot of challenges in California.
Yes, sir.
And so it's not just like, oh, wow, it's expensive for us. It's like if you're in the LA basin and you're trying to get a service at a shop, you're not just waiting there a while like you would at any shop. You're also behind every Amazon, every FedEx, every Knight Swift. I mean, those guys, and we have no pull in any of those shops.
Yeah, and they don't really have Loves and TAs in the shops that we use there in LA. They have an Ontario TA and or Petro. It's one or the other, but and the drivers know if you go in there, you're going to be there minimum of 8 to 10 hours.
Wow, that's terrible.
Very, very crowded.
Well, you did mention some breakdowns in California. Unfortunately, we know breakdowns are part of the reality on the road. Do you have advice for drivers when they experience a breakdown? What should they do? Who should they call? What's next?
Well, 541-727-3600.
Option one, right?
Option one. During business hours. Business hours are 5 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Right, those are regular business hours. First things first, make sure you're safe. Get yourself to a safe spot. If you can, get your triangles out. And then you want to give a OTR call and give us a chance so we can get rolling on dispatching you out some help and possibly, help walking you through possibly you being able to do a couple things to get you going.
So yeah, you mentioned that, and I've seen that before. Sometimes we've experienced trucks go down, and there's just some simple troubleshooting steps that we can do. I know some drivers are concerned because they're not mechanics, they don't have a ton of tools. Is that really something that should stop them from? I mean, some of these things are pretty simple, right?
Yeah. And I believe in the handbook, there's a small amount of tools required for each division. And the tools that are required would be enough for you to do what OTR would ask you to do. Simple things, these trucks are all computerized, and one simple thing that we always try is disconnecting the battery. So there's a cutoff switch, and I guess we get it confused. There's a cutoff switch that will ask you to turn the batteries off. That doesn't cut everything off because some of the stuff is hardwired directly to the batteries. So we would ask you to carry a small crescent wrench or, pliers, something like that, so you could disconnect the negative battery terminal, which gives it a true reset. We run into stuff like windows not rolling down or windows not rolling up and stuff, and literally disconnect the battery and it fixes that problem. Or truck.
Too many computers, you might say.
Yeah, and it's just a simple reset. I think it tricks itself or something. And it's just a troubleshooting that we've learned over time. Truck will tell you it's in neutral or not in neutral, and it won't start. It has like a lockout on it. So simple stuff like that, Mud flaps, we encourage you guys to change your own mud flaps if you can. Simple lights if possible, marker lights and stuff like that. I mean, anything you can do to keep you going quicker, because as we know, the TAs, Loves, Petros are pretty backed up. So,
well, man, sitting somewhere 8 to 10 hours waiting for something simple seems like a silly waste of time for everybody.
It does. And then it's tough because you don't get the miles, and then our goal is for you to make money, for the drivers to make money.
Any other common maintenance issues that you guys see that could be prevented or avoided? Any other sort of maintenance suggestions for drivers?
Yeah, I feel I'm not going backwards, but like on the pre-trip, we should be checking the tires, stuff like that. I see a lot of guys. We do recommend that you run the tires, down to 30 seconds, but when we pull up to a scale and we have 30 seconds on tires and stuff like that, I feel like that can be prevented.
How long does it take to run down about a 30-second of the tire, assuming normal wear?
Maybe a month.
So if you go from 30 seconds to 30 seconds, that means you haven't looked at your tires in at least 3 months.
Well, every situation's different too, but also too, when you're paying attention to the wear on your tires and stuff, it will let us know other like suspension issues and stuff like that we can stay on top of. Mm-hmm. And it's once again like the road call thing, kills us when we have to put 3 tires on at a scale in the middle of nowhere.
Those are expensive tires.
Oh yeah.
And then of course it's going to be in California, and that makes it's more expensive tires.
Right.
Wow. Any other maintenance thoughts for drivers that you'd want to share?
I wanted to go over the breakdown procedures again too. Like when we go to a shop, like the difference between a TA, Petro, Loves, and stuff like that. Obviously, everybody knows we use TA, Loves, Petro, Speedco, and as our to get our preventative maintenance done. We also are using Bosselman's now to do that. We're currently trying to figure out pricing with Southern Tire Mart and other places like that, so we can open up our network, but we got to get that all dialed in. So obviously when nobody goes to a dealer without somebody in OTR sending them. Dispatchers, fleet managers, if they tell you to go to a dealer, you need to give OTR a call, and we need to progress it to that. And then once we've progressed it to a dealer, you guys check in, drivers check in, and we get them to the hotel, and they call us the next day. We don't want the drivers calling the dealer. And that's not because we don't want you to know what's going on. It's so that we can get all the information from them and know what's going on, because if they have multiple people calling, then it tends to...
Also, too, I know when we talk to the dealers, we're oftentimes not talking to the dealer. We're talking to someone in that dealer group at a senior level, or even an OEM partner. And so if you call the front desk because we get that special treatment, the front desk may not even know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, 100%. And that's like the majority of the time is that we get two different answers, mm-hmm. and most of our information's coming via email with, multiple people on the emails.
The senior people in those facilities, yeah.
Yes. So, just leave that up to us. And then once the drivers check out, they get the paperwork anyways. It says everything that was done on the truck, so they can, know what's going on. Another thing I've noticed is make sure that you communicate with us the same thing you do with the dealer when you check in with the dealer. So I guess what I'm saying is make sure you tell OTR all the problems that you have, as well as telling the dealer, because what happens is we'll go in there for a check engine light, and then we'll get a list of, hood latch and multiple other things. So make sure we know what we're going in there for, so we're all on the same page.
Because they won't do work unless we approve it, and we're not going to approve it unless we know about it.
Yeah, and if we haven't approved it, we were more than likely are going to argue or, contest the charges because we haven't approved it, and then it just becomes a longer, drawn-out process.
Sure.
And there's things that, like, there's some stuff that we can get done here and stuff like that. So,
well, Tim, I know that I had heard that you like to build motorcycles. Is that the case?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how'd you get into that? And favorite project, or?
I was born into it. My dad builds custom motorcycles. He did. Harley Davidsons. That's what I've had one since I was 17 years old. That was like my first vehicle. I currently probably have like 4 of them.
Your favorite?
Probably my Knucklehead, 1940 Knucklehead.
Oh, beautiful.
Yep. Cars. We like cars too.
Well, Tim, anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanna hit on?
Do your pre-trips, do your post-trips, and we're here for you. Give us a call, and we're more than willing to help you guys.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tim. It's been great having you here.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Tim, for sitting down with us. Appreciate you sharing your insight into maintenance and some tips to try to keep drivers rolling in the face of the challenges out there in the service world. Our next episode will be out on December 20th. We'll be sitting down with Margarita and discussing claims and accidents. If you have any questions for Margarita, please send them to us via Facebook or email them to us at cbtalk@combinedtransport.com. We appreciate your participation. It is your engagement that makes this podcast work. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for being a part of the Combined Transport team.